Hello, hi everyone. I hope you're all fine. Welcome to today's session. So, today's a really good day. We're going to be starting on a new project. So far, we have been able to build a login form. We have been able to be a login and a sign up form, and we were able to authenticate our users and store them, the information even on local storage. We then proceeded to creating a to-do list where we were able to add new items. We were able to check off or just cross out any item or any task we have already done, and we were also able to delete the item. So today we are going to be starting a new project, like I have said, and we are going to be working with creating an application that allows us to be able to see random jokes. So I'm really excited about this. Um, I'm just going to show you how the end result of the project is going to look like. So it's going to look like this, where just by clicking on the get joke, it's able to generate random jokes on our website. So to make this possible, we are going to be using what we call an API. API in full means application programming interface. What that means is we have a link that we can be able to get data from. So sometimes we can create our own APIs, and other times we can use APIs that are already available. So we are going to use a joke API that is already created. We are not the ones who are going to create it, and we are going to see how that is going to look like. So the API we're going to use is this. Let it just finish loading up. Okay. Okay. So this is the API we are using. Like I have said, an API means an application programming interface. So let me just click on it and paste it in the chat section. So there it is. So what has happened is there are these developers who have created an API that allows us to be able to get data from to get data. So they have stored different jokes in some sort of a format we call JSON, and then afterwards we are able to fetch the different jokes without us having to create jokes ourselves. So it just makes it a little bit easier. So what this is just something we call documentation, and it shows you that you can be able to get various data from the jokes or from the API. So here you have the get. So when you see get, this is an API method. Let me also talk about API methods. So there are several API methods. Mostly the main ones are four. We have what we call, there's usually a really good image here. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, we can, yeah, I think this is the image I prefer using. Okay, let me, now I've opened the link. I want to open the image. Yeah, So these are the different API methods that are normally there. We have the get, which is used to receive information from an API resource. We have the post, which is used to create an information. So let me just, for example, when we are on social media, maybe on platforms like TikTok, when we are just scrolling on TikTok, we are using the get API. When we are posting or creating a post, we are or uploading a video on TikTok, we are using the post method. When we are editing something, maybe we are editing the caption or we are editing maybe a comment that we have put under a post, we use the put method. And then when we actually delete, we use the delete method. So these are the different API methods that are normally there. So this API that has already been created. So remember, I have said an API is stored data that we are able to access without us having to create the data ourselves. So if I come here they have shown me that I can use the get method to get different jokes. So, for example, if I want jokes under any category, I can. So they say the available category is any, misc, programming, dark, pan, spooky, Christmas. So you can choose whichever you want. So here they have kind of added other examples. So they're saying like this URL here will give you two Russian jokes, either from. So the reason why it's giving us Russian is because here they are said lang is equals to ru and amount to be two. So that is why it gives you two Russian jokes from either programming. So here they stated programming or MISC with the payload format. So the format to be XML with the joke type to be single, while also preventing all jokes that are not that are potentially not safe to work and sex tips from being served. So it is just the different types of ways you can be able to implement the joke API. So info, this gives a lot of information about the joke. For example, it just gives us the version number, the amount of jokes, the available categories, and all that. So this will just get a lot of information. So this will just list the different available types of jokes that are there, the different languages, the flags, the format of the joke, and all that and all that. So we will not use a lot of the APIs that are here. We will just use whatever we actually need. So like you can see, this API also supports to be viewed in different languages. So for example, here we have Node.js, which is a JavaScript framework. So it's just showing us how we can be able to make use of the API inside our Node.js code. So yeah, so those are some of the things you need to know about our our joke API. And there are so many APIs. If you want to get different APIs for different purposes, there are several sites you can look for, or if you do not know where to start, you can just come and type free APIs. So it looks like there are so many. So one of the most common that I think I have used several times is this Rapid API platform. But of course, in the world of technology, there's always something new that does almost the same thing that is coming up. So I am not surprised that there are more options that we can find. So, for example, and some of the APIs are normally not free, others are free, and so forth. So, for example, this is a Google Translate API. This mostly you'll find it's not free, But what this does is you can put it inside your website and then you can use it to translate different, maybe the text. You can tell a user to type something and then it will be translated to a different language. So for example, here there are different endpoints, so you can specify however you want. Excuse me. Let me just I know I have an account of this in my other email, and I don't think I need to keep creating on every other email. And also, there is just an email that I use to sign up on different websites. I don't like using my email, different emails to sign up on different places. So let me just open that part up. That other email. So it's also good for yourself. You can have an email where you use to access anything you want online, so that you do not compromise all your emails, you do not expose your details and everything. And also you can have like, okay, this is where I put kind of like important stuff. I access it using this email, and then this email I use it for stuff. So like this is my email. As you can see, there's a lot here. So this is my email that I use to access just stuff. So let me just go ahead and type free APIs, so that if I need to sign up, in case I have not yet signed up, I can just sign up on this email. Free APIs, say. Okay, so rapid API is among the first one. I just want to show you different APIs that are normally there, and so that even as I show you today how to use an API, you can go ahead and kind of try out different APIs. It's very cool, and I think even with the competition that you will have, if you can think of like using an API, a different API than what we have used, that will be super super cool. So consider that. Okay. So let it load. Let me see if Netlify in the meantime. So for those who are not here yesterday we tried to deploy our application, and one of the easiest ways I feel like it is to deploy your application is using Netlify. So I was trying to really log in on Netlify. Let me see if today it will accept. Okay, let me try sign up. I think I don't have an account here. Oh, sign up, sorry. Why isn't it recommending passwords for me? I think there's a password I had tried yesterday. Let me get it. Okay. So hopefully this time it will bring that email, because it sure did not bring that email. So as you can see, there's a lot of, let me just check if it's in the spam. Okay. It's taking long also to load. Okay, great. So here is our API. So Netlify will just figure itself out. So there are different APIs I was talking about, like this one for Google Translate, but most probably you'll find such an API. There's a high possibility it might not be a free API. So if you so this is for detecting. There's one for languages and there's one now for translating, where you say what you want to translate and all that. So, okay, this sometimes because it is people who create these APIs, sometimes some of them are not legit, and I kind of doubt this is not legit. So let me go back. Mm, okay. So this is used, I think, to get data from Instagram. So people do come here and create their own APIs, which is something a lot of people do. Let me see. So here we have example responses. So yeah, so as you can see, like this is how the data will look like. It will come with a lot of information about the individual. So for example, I can see reels, the reels that somebody has put up. So like with this dummy data, they have put that this person has 12 reels. So this is one of the reels. It shows me the video, and so much more. So what now happens is when I am building, remember yesterday, was it yesterday or I don't know if it was in this class or in this LinkedIn, I was talking about using front end and back end. So this is the back end, you're able to see different stuff for different pages. So, and you can see it shows you um, different areas. So you can see for location. So this is Google Map. So what this does is you're able to see maybe different locations, and now your goal is to see how you make sure somebody is able to display this on the front end. So that is basically what will be happening. Yeah. So that is just an example of an API. I don't know if that Netlify update has come up. Okay, it looks like there's a problem. I don't understand why they are not sending anything. So that's super weird. Yeah, so let me move on. So we have this jokes API. So let us go ahead and code. So the goal is when you click, it shows different categories of different um, jokes from different categories. So I'll go to a new page and I will open up my Visual Studio. Yeah, yes, dev.code. I will open it up. I'll click on it. So this is our Visual Studio now. We see we can be able now to write our code. So the next thing, I will go to my desktop. So here in my desktop, I will just create a new folder. So, and I'll call this jokes generator. I will click create, and I will now try and open this folder from my Visual Studio. So I'll click open folder, go to desktop and click jokes generator, and I click open. So I will say yes, I do trust the authors. So The folder, of course, right now it has nothing. So I'll right click and I'll click new file and I'll create my index.html, which is where I'm going to write my HTML code. And say yes, definitely save changes. I'll create my style.css, which is where I'm going to add the styling, and I'll create my index.js. Ah, I can call it script.js just to so that there's no confusion between JS and HTML. So we have the four files. So JavaScript, remember, it's what adds the interactivity. And we definitely would do want some interactivity such that when you click on this button, you actually want something to happen. So yeah, that is it. Even another API that I think we can use is, I know you guys are a little bit older, but let me see. There's also a Chuck Norris API, free joke APIs. Let me see if I can find another. There's so many options. This is not the only option. Let me see. There is this one, and there's another one still on the Rapid jokes API. So, what do you call soup that you have found here in it? Rapid soup. If I click on it again, it gives me, you can pick your friends and you can pick your nose, but you can't pick your friend's nose. Okay, so these are different types of APIs that you can use. Okay. Yeah, so this is just an example in Python that you can add to see the code. So there are different places you can get APIs from. I don't know if this is limit. How many jokes to return must be. Okay. Okay. So let us move on. So this is also another jokes API. So there are so many. We are not only limited to the one that we are going to use. So here is also another one. So this is also for random jokes, and this is the API that you can click and get random jokes. There was also another one. This is the Chuck Norris Jokes API. So there is a movie known as Chuck Norris, and this is just a way where you can be able to generate to get the different APIs. So that is that. So the different jokes for Chuck Norris. So yeah, so there are different ways you can, or there are different types of jokes that you can actually use. Um, yeah, so if I keep refreshing this, it will show me different jokes. Yeah. Okay, so let us continue. So here inside our HTML, we are going to just add the structure of our website or add the structure of our Chuck Norris API. So the first thing, of course, we'll start with is the doc type. So the doc type allows us to be able to tell the browser that this is where you can find the HTML code, and we have talked, or tells the browser where to find the HTML, which is very important with regards to being able to load the structure, because remember we said HTML acts as the structure of the website. So after that, I'm going to add the HTML tag. So this allows us to enclose the HTML. So it acts as the words of the HTML code. So the HTML code is normally divided into two, the head, okay, and what we call the body. So we have the head tag and we have the body. So the head tag is where we add things like the title of our website. So the title, we can just write random jokes. Yeah, we can write random jokes. So if I try and just launch this website so that we can be seeing what we are building. Here at the top, I can see now it's written random jokes, which will allow me when I'm moving from one tab to another, I know where I am navigating towards. So, which is not a bad thing. So the next thing, I will connect my HTML to my CSS, and to do that, I use the link tag, and I say link href. So href in full means hyperlink reference. So this is where you're going to store the file name of your CSS. So I'll call this style.css. So we have our href, and then after that, I will say rel, which means relationship. So what is the relationship between the two files? Style sheet. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to say the type. So the type is to just clarify the type of text that will be found in that file, is that it will be a CSS text. So with that, we have connected our HTML to our CSS. So if we add some styling, something will actually happen. So let us actually add a few stylings there, especially for like something like the background and all that. So I will come here. So we have this random jokes. Currently, you're seeing it is white. Like I have been doing, I prefer us to work a lot with dark mode, just because a lot of users nowadays use dark mode. So we'll come and say background color should just be black. So we can write black, just the word black. So remember, I had said there are different ways you can add color in CSS. You can either just write the word black, and what will happen is when we refresh, it will just be black. Yeah. So or you can just type color generator. Oh, color picker. It's usually color picker actually, not color generator. No, we want a color picker. So here, and we can just move this circle to where we want it to be. It can even be like that. So this is what you're seeing. This is the end result, and you have what is called hex. So this is a hexadecimal value because there are 6 values. So you can copy that and you can go back to your style.css. So rather than writing just black, you can copy and you can have that. And that will also, if I refresh now our website, it is still, it's not another shade of black. So you can either add color by just naming the name black. If it is purple, you want purple or red, or you can come to a color picker and you can pick a particular shade, because maybe you wanted blue, but you wanted a particular shade of blue. So color picker allows you to be able to pick that shade. So the other way you can use is these values: RGB, CMYK, HSV, and HSL. So those are just the different values. Yeah, I won't keep getting into that right now. So I think mostly for us, we will use a lot of hexadecimal. So yeah, the other thing, because we are having a black background, we can specify the color of our text. So we can say the color to be, so this is just how we tamper with the color of our text, and we can come back to our color picker. Because we are writing on a black background, you can write white if you want, or you can pick a particular shade of white that you feel like that's what you want, or this looks like a shade of gray. So if that's what you want, there is no problem. You just pick it, copy it here, and come and put it here. So now you have been able to change your text color, you have been able to change your background color. So yeah, we are now going to move forward. I'm going to go back to my HTML so that I can add more structure. So remember, currently we have not been able to add anything, and so far we want to create such a container or a card where we can just be clicking and seeing different versions. So let us go back to our HTML, and we will just add that particular container. So inside the body tag, to add that container, we use the div tag. So div is used to add containers automatically, and then we can come ahead and say inside this. So if we look at this code, this end result we are trying to accomplish here, there is a container that now contains everything. So we can give it a height, we can give it a width, and we can also give it a background color. So I will just go ahead and do that. To do that, the first thing I need to do is to give it a class name. So I'm just going to give it a class name. I can say main container. So I will now go ahead and style it. So I can come here to my style.css and say if it's something that has a class, you start dot main container. So I am just picking I put curly brackets. So I am just picking this name here, main container, because it is a class. So I am just saying dot main container. Automatically CSS will know you're trying to style the element that has the main container class, which is what we want to do. So we can come here and say display to be flex, and then we can say justify content to be center. So remember I told you when you write justify content to be center, you mean you want that element to be positioned into the center horizontally. If you want it not to be positioned to the center vertically or from top to bottom, you come ahead and you use align items to be center. So the other thing I'm just going to add is I'm going to give it a height. So I can give it a height of, like, if we look at this, we can give it a height of 50%. So we can write VH, which means vertical height, or percentage. It's basically the same thing. And we can give it a width of, let us also still give it 50%. I know this will look more like a box, but let us first look at how it will look like. Oh, let me also give it a background color. So I'll give it a particular shade of, we can give it any shade we want. So you just go to your color picker and you specify whatever you feel you want it to look like. So even if I wanted it to be a particular shade of purple, for example, yeah, can pick that. That's not too bad. But if it is, I'll just come and edit it. But remember, styling is, it is not, you, it's not that it's a must you do this. It's just whatever, do whatever you feel like you are comfortable with, especially with styling. The most important thing is to know how to add which styling, how to do it. So I can write the border width to be 2px. I can give it a border color, and I can say the color must probably to be Can give it a particular shade, a darker shade of purple. Oh, this is lighter actually. Yeah, we can use that. And we can see the border style to be solid. So there's so many types of border styles. I think in the previous videos, I have been able to go deeper into the different types of border styles. So I'm going to keep doing that here. So this is how my container looks like. As you can see, it is not yet aligned to the center. Let us go and see how we can make it align to the center, and we can most probably decrease the width a little bit. It's too big. So we can come here, first of all, to decrease the width. We can put 30 VW, which means just 30%. Okay, we can work with that right now. We can also increase the height a little bit. And we can say this is 60. Yeah, so what we can now go ahead and do is display flex, justify, align items. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. I'm trying to see. Okay, so here in the body, let us add a width and say the width is 100 v. You can even write 100%, and the height also to be 100%. Or we can write the height to be 100 VH. Let me now refresh. Oh, it has added some styling. I was expecting it to do something. Now what it has done is not what I wanted. Let me see something. Trying to understand why it is not positioned to the center. Let me see what I have done wrong. Okay, I've gotten it. So this styling here, let us do jokes container, and then I will come in here. We have a div called main container. I will create another div inside of it called jokes container. I was trying to change the styling from what I had done before. Okay, so that we have a container inside another container. Let me see if this now will cooperate. Not yet. Main container. Let me go and say. And somebody is asking, will there be classes in December? You're already in December. We are in November date 6. Yeah, we are finalizing. Remember, we are doing the competition in December actually. So the goal is to continue doing these YouTube sessions continuously till December, so that if you're not registered for our classes, we normally have classes in the afternoon. If you're not registered, you still have an opportunity to be able to join in. So that is why we am actually doing this, so that you still have an opportunity to prepare and participate in the competition. So just use this as an opportunity for you to be able to participate, and come and join us as well in the competition. Okay. So let me see. Let me try and align these items here in the body as well. So I have added a display flex, a justify flex, and align item center. Okay, great. So the only reason why it's still at the top, we'll come here to the body and we'll say the height to be 100 VH. Let us see. Okay, awesome. So now it's in the middle, as we would expect. We can add curved some curved corners, and to do that you just come here to the jokes container and you say border radius. We can give it like, let us see, 5%, how it will look like. Yeah, we can leave it at that. So I want to change this background color. That purple is not, it's not looking how I thought it would look like. Let me pick something that is near a black but a shade of purple, if that's what I want. So I can pick that, can come here and change my background color. Oh, I could also have changed it here. So either way, let me see. Yeah, that's not so bad. So the other thing is I can, if I want, I can make the 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 cube, the width to be smaller, maybe 25. Let us try 25 VW, and we can have it like that. So we can leave it at that point. So I've been able to add the container that I will add more into it. So let me go back to my structure and add more. So all I have done is just added containers. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a span of an image. So remember I have an image here where it's just an icon, you know, it's just something, you know, to have something visual. So how do we add that emoji? So we can come here and say img. So whenever you want to add an image, you use the img tag and we say img as src. So src is what is the source of your image, and then you can add alt. Alt is normally good for adding descriptive text, especially for, you know, there are people who are blind and are using websites. So how are they using it? And especially how are they able to know what the image is talking about? So the alt should at least describe what the image is about. So here we can say an emoji, or we can write a laughing emoji. That's how we write laughing. Yeah, I think so. So I will come to my Google and I will just type laughing emoji. Even we can do a laughing GIF. I'm so sure you guys know what a GIF is. So you can pick, if you come here to Giphy, Giphy and Tena are some of the places that I have used to get GIFs on my website. So here they are. So you can pick whichever you like. Okay, I don't know why my computer is a little bit slow, but it's this mouse. Let me change the mouse. What is happening? Okay, so this is another one. You know, so it's depending on whatever you want. You can add it accordingly. So let me refresh this again. I don't know what is happening. It's so slow. Can I feel like it is okay? I don't get why it is a little bit. I don't know if it's my laptop. I don't think it's my internet. Give it a few seconds to load up. Let me see. If not, it is okay. It's like it's a little bit better right now. Okay, great. So we can just put laughing. I don't know if okay. Okay, looks like we'll not use the gifts. It's really it's for some reason I feel like those either the sites or my website is really loading slow, so I don't think I will use them. But it can be anything you want. So I think if you come to images, let me see. Mm, even you can put laughing cartoon. Okay. Yeah, so we can pick any that we want. Um, I don't think this is badly off. I can right click. Let me right click and let me just click on the image. So I can right click and save the image. So the other thing is if I want to remove this white background, I can right click and say copy image address and go to BG remove. So there is a link there's something we call a background remover. Click on it. Click here, URL, and say okay. So this will remove that background. Yeah, that's removed it and click download. So you can pick whichever you want, whichever you feel you like. Pick an image. If you want to, it's advisable you remove the background. Right click on the background, say copy image address, and then go to BG remove. And when you go to the home page, you'll see a place where it's written URL. Click on it and you can paste the URL there and it will automatically, when you click OK, it will delete the background or it will remove the background. And then after that, you can now download. So when I go to downloads, I will find that image there. Here it is. So I will just move it to desktop. So you can move it to desktop just by dragging it. So now if I go to desktop, wait, did it move? Oh, no. Or I can just come here and say right click and say move to, and I will say desktop, and then I click inside jokes of I click jokes generator and click select. So with that now, if I come here, I'll find this image here. So the name of the image is very, very long. So I will right click on that name and say rename and just say emoji. So don't delete the extension. The extension is when you see dots. So for some images it's PNG, others is GPG. So don't remove anything that comes after the dot. Just rename whatever is at the front. So we have that. So I'll come here to SRC and I will say emoji.png. So now if I look at let me see if the image has come up. Yes, there is the image. It's super big. So the thing we need to do is to now make it to be a good size that will fit whatever we are currently working on. So I'll come here back to my image and I can just give it a class, and I'll give it a class emoji image. So I'll come to my style.css and say dot emoji image, emoji, however you want to say it. I'll say the width, so I'll give it a particular width. So I can say the width to be 100 px and the height to be 100 px. So let us look at how that size now looks like, if it works for us or it is too small. Okay, we can make it a little bit bigger. We can increase the width. We can say 150 px and 150 px. So if I refresh, yeah, I can work with that. It's not so bad. So I can come here now and add more to the image. So I can come ahead. So remember, the goal is to make it to look like this. So there is some space around it here and that circle. So to give it that circle, we'll just come here and say border radius. So when you give it a particular border radius, it will be a full circle. So you can say 50%. If I refresh, I will not see much, mainly because really it is, we have not given the border a particular length or width. So if you give it like a width of 2 px and you give it a border color, maybe we can just write red. I'm just writing it so that you guys can just see how the border is looking like. Let me give it a style. Border style to be solid. So you can see there is this circle because of this border radius of 50 px. If I change this to like 20 px, let me show you how it will look like. 20%. You see, it looks like just curves. So I want to make this curve such that it becomes round. So I have done that by increasing the border radius percentage. So if I do 50 px, now we have that curve there looking like that. So the other thing we can do is maybe we can change this. We can pick even the color that we have here to be, rather than having this red, we can pick the color that we have in that border radius container so that it's the same. So at least now it looks like it's part of the project. And the other thing, we can add a shadow. So I'll come here and I will just say box shadow, and I will say so I'll come here and just change my box shadow. So if you come to, let me explain what box shadow is. If you come here and you type box shadow, it's just adding a shadow. So if I come here, let me show you how it looks like. So like this element has a shadow here, and it has a shadow on the bottom and the right. Okay, so if I continue here, there is also how you can add it. So this is added, and then you give it a particular color, and the 5px makes it blurred. It's not as sharp as we would most probably want it to be. Like this one, this is 10px, 10px. We did not give it a blur. So if you want to give it a blur, you add a third value here. So 5px will give you that blur effect. The next one is what they call the spread. So the spread increases the size of the shadow. A negative value decreases the size of the shadow. So here they have given it still 10px, 10px, 5px to add the blur, and then 12px to increase the size of the shadow. So you see it's a little bit spread out. And then we have what we call inset. Inset now makes the shadow to seem as if it is from the outside coming inside. Yeah. And you can add, and there is also not only inside, I think there's also like outset. I think, but outset is the normal. I think that's why they have not specified. It's just normal. It seems like it is going on the outside, but inset, it seems like it's coming on the inside. So we can now go ahead and add the same. The first thing is I just want it to be, so if you look at this, it's just roughly just around it, and it's not too big. So I can come here and I say box shadow of the first value to be 0. Okay, and then I'll say this one to be 4px. I'll add that shadow effect of 15px. And now I can give it a particular color. So we can give it just something slightly lighter than this color that we have. Let me just remember the color we have for our border. It's that one. So we can do something a little bit lighter than that. If I copy and I leave it like that, so let us see how it will look like. So the website disabled my extension GitHub. Don't understand what that means. Yeah, so you can see we have now that shadow appearing there. Yeah, so yeah, and even this shadow effect, you can add it even on the whole container. If you want, even you can just copy this, copy it. So the only thing maybe you can change, wait, did it copy? And come here to the jokes container. So let us see how that will look like. So it looks something like that. So you can change the color if you want, if you feel like, that color is not, I don't want all of it to maybe look like as if it's the same color. Excuse me. If I copy this and I can even change it from here. I keep forgetting I can do this from the CSS side. so it can look something like that. So that allows you to be able to add that shadow. So however you want it, you can add multiple types of shadows. I feel like that's too bright. Maybe let me reduce that a little bit. Okay. So I'll leave it at that. I don't want to start. I can just leave it at that. It's not necessary. It just depends on how you want it to go about. So yeah, so we have added our box shadow and so forth. So we can now move forward. So the next thing now we are going to add is we're just going to add some text here where our joke will be displayed. So for those who have joined us a little bit late, we are doing such a joke generator. When you click on it, it shows you different types of jokes. So let me just add a place where now we will be able to see the jokes. So I'll come here. Sorry. I'll come back here and now add just a paragraph. So I can give this, I can say, I can add some random text. Hey, this is where the joke will be shown. And after that, I can add a button. Oh, we can also show if the joke, which category it's from. So is it programming? So we can also add that feature. So we can write here, we can add another paragraph. Maybe for now we can just write category default, because it's just some stuff I am writing, the default. And then after that I can add the button. So the button that will just now be clicking. So I'll write it get joke. I can just write generate joke. Yeah, so let me see if there is any more styling we need to add. So here I can give it a class. Button. We can give it button generator or joke. We can give it joke button. So ideally, if programming is advisable, we can write joke button, and then this also we can give it some class. We can call this joke text. I'm just putting here 2 underscores. 2 underscores joke text. Let this be small. Yeah. So let me style them so that they look a little bit better. Let us see how it looks like so far. So this is how it looks like. Another thing, I need to put this to be on top of each other to make that to be possible. So I'll come here in the jokes container, because that's what contains everything. We gave it a display of flex. I can come here and say flex direction to be column. So if I now refresh, now at least they are on top of each other. Okay, so I'll show you how to position this image here at the top. So I'll come here and I will now add, first I'll start by adding the font of this joke text. It's the default, but at least we need to make it look how we would want. So we gave it the class joke text. So I'll come here dot joke text, and I will say font family, so that you can specify the type of font you want. So remember, I think if you do not know how to select a font, in one of the videos I have done, but let me just slightly repeat, you can come here and just type fonts. Okay, and there are so many fonts that are available for you to make use of. And if most probably you want to use maybe the fonts from Google. Google has its own fonts. So I think in one of the videos, I think either the first one, we looked at how we can add fonts. So here I can come and use a font that I like. So maybe it can be like this one. So it's known as Lato. You can also having something like this if you want. So there are different font size that you can choose. I will just oh, there is one here for Halloween. So this is how it looks like. Maybe if you're writing some stuff on for Halloween. Oh, I like this. This does not look so bad. This one. Yeah, I will use this. So I can come here and click get fonts, and come here, there is a place where you can download it, or you can just come here and say embed code. I'll just use we are on web. I'll use the at import. Okay, you can use the link tag. Okay, so I'll come here and I'll use the import, and I can copy this. So as you can see, they have enclosed it as style. So that means you're writing it inside the CSS. So we can copy this. Okay. And then, so this is how they're showing us how we are going to use it. You're going to come and write font family, henny penny, stuff like that. So let us first import it so we can use it. So I'll come to my style.css. Most probably it's advisable you import it at the top. So you can pick any font you want. So it's a long text, worry not. So there, now to use it, as you can see, they're coming here and saying, so font family, you can say if you want. So this is like a regular size, and font size is normal. You can copy all this, whatever is in here. You don't need to pick the class name because we already have our own class name where we are showing our font. I can just remove this. Now come ahead and write that. So let us see if that has been implemented. So you can see it has been implemented. Okay, so it's looking how I want it to look like. If I want it to be a little bit bigger, I'll just come and say font size. I can add it, so sorry, I can be like 40px. I know 40 is a lot, but that's how it will look like. So that is how it looks like, and we can also like make it to be aligned to the center, so we can be like text align center. So if we look at it now, it will look like that. So yeah, we can leave it like that. I don't see as if there is any problem with that. Any question up to that point? If you have a question, just drop it in the chat section. If you want me to repeat anything, do not hesitate. Okay, so the letters are really next to each other. If you want to maybe increase the size in between each other, or if you want to leave it like that, that's whatever, however you want. If I want to, I'll just come here and I say letter spacing. Most probably just do like 2px. So notice how like this T and H are overlapping. Let us see after we have added. So you can see they are now pretty separate with each other because of that letter spacing. Okay, so yeah, let us continue. I can use the same for category. I don't see as if there is, so I have just used something different from what I had here. I can use the same font for category. I don't see any problem with it. So I can come here. What is the styling that the class name that I gave my, oh, I did not. So I can just give it the same class, or I can say class just because I don't want it to be the same size. So I can just specify and give it its own, so I can say joke category. So if I copy it all, I can just be like dot. Yeah, so here I can come ahead and pick the same things that I have here. So the thing that I know I want to change is most probably, oops, I'll highlight all of it and just copy it. Is the size. I don't want it to be, okay, let me highlight it properly. Is it my touchpad? I think my mouse is stepping out on me. So font size, maybe I can change it now just to like be like 20px, half of the size that I had. So if I refresh, we can leave it at that, and we can add the font size, the font height. So here you can see there is regular and all that. I believe there should be other difference, or it's just that. Okay, I don't believe it's cast on stone. I can come here and change this to like 600. Let's see if it will be bolder. Yes, it is. And if I want, I can even change the color. Purple normally, which are the if I don't know which colors normally go with purple, you can come here and say purple color palette. If you want to make a website and you're just like, man, I want it to be to be things that go with purple, so that I just don't hustle so much. It will give you so many things that you can, different mixtures of purple that you can mix up. So you find whichever you want. Like this is not so bad. So like this one, they have tried to just capture it from this image. So the different color codes, have they given us the color codes? So this is usually also another tactic. If you do not know, if you're not good with putting colors together and you really want to think of a color and you want to figure out, okay, how am I going to put the different colors together, you can use this. So okay, no, this one is giving me a lot of stuff that I do not care about. So it looks like purple just goes with a lot of its own purple shade. So I can come back here and here I can say font color. Sorry, you don't normally say font color, we just say color. And remember I said in programming, color is normally written in without a U. So, okay, let me just pick something random and then I will get, oh, sorry. I will get this shade of purple. So now this will allow me to be able to edit it into different, to something that I want. Let me see if that makes sense now. Yeah, we can leave it at that. So yeah, so we have our category and we have our, so the next thing I will now edit is the button, just to make it to look a little bit better. You know, it's looking very, very plain. So let us go ahead and make our joke button to be better. So we'll come here and we say joke button. Into curly brackets. We are going to say, so we are going to put a cursor. We can put the cursor to be pointer. So I'll show you what this means for those who missed. I also talked about cursors and how they're normally used differently in programming. So a cursor is this pointer that is showing me the mouse movement. So currently, if I move my mouse here on the button, it just looks the same. But if I now refresh to add the pointer that I have just added, so if I refresh and I move my mouse, I see it changes to be that finger, and that is the pointer. So that's just a styling thing, and a preference thing. So I can give also my button a background color. So I will also still pick, I think I am really doing a lot with purple in this um in this video or in this tutorial. So I can just put some light shade of purple there. Okay, so let me just I'll change the color, and I'll also increase the size so that it looks a little bit bigger. So I'll come here and I'll say color. Because it's in purple, purple is usually a little bit dark, so it's good to have some white. We can write just white, or you can put the code for white. The other thing is we can increase the font size. It's a little bit small. So we can say the font size to be like 14px, but I think it's usually 14, but let me see if that will increase. Okay, no, as you can see, 14 is usually mostly, I feel like it's usually the default. So let me just say 20. Let me refresh. Okay, that's not too bad. That's not too bad. Let me go ahead and I can say I can add a space around this button. So we can add some space, and to add that space we normally say padding. So I'll come here and say padding. So I can change this padding to be, I can say like, let me try 4px. We see how it's looking like. Yeah, so that's not so bad. I can increase it a little bit. 6px. Okay, so this is just the space around my button. They have added a default border that I really do not like, so I can come here and be like, I don't want any border to be none. So this will remove this weird shape we are seeing here on the corners. So yeah, it's like that. So let me add some curve to it. So to add those curves on my button, I've been saying you use border radius. So we can give it a border radius of like 10px. Let us see how that will look like. Yeah, that's not so bad. I think I need to increase the padding a little bit more, the space around the content, so that we can just have a slightly bigger button is a little bit smaller, so I can come here in the padding. Let me try 15 px. Yeah, that's not so bad. Let me change the text that we have here. Maybe we can stick with the text fonts that we are having across. Let us see how that will look like. So I'll come here. Just also add that. I think the other thing I will do is just the font size is normal. And the font style, it's normal. And the font weight to just be normal as well. Font weight. So font weight is that boldness. We can make it 300. So let us see how that will look like. Okay, we can leave it at that. I can increase the spacing. We need some spacing between those words. Or I think we can increase, first of all, the font size. Let's try for 24px. Yeah, that's not so bad. I think I don't like this background color now. Let me just, it's too bright. Let me make it a little bit darker. Okay, that's too dark. It's almost looking like the background. Okay, I think we're getting there. We're almost there. Okay, yeah, we can leave it like that. We can put some space between this generate and this category, just to have some good space. So I can come here to the button and be like, because it's from one element to another, we use margin. So I can say margin top to be like 2%. Okay. Yeah, so we have our jokes being displayed, the category and the button. So yeah, I think we can do it. Maybe we can add a background when we hover what we want to happen. So just you can come here to the joke button and be like, when I hover over it. So to add that hover, just write hover. Maybe I want something to look a particular way in terms of background color. So we have this background color that we had selected. So maybe we can make it a little bit lighter. Yeah, so that when we hover over it, it changes, just becomes slightly lighter to just show that difference. Okay, so we have what we need up to that point. I think the other thing now that we just need to do is to now show the jokes from our jokes generator and all that. So let us get to our JavaScript and get our jokes from our API. So I'll come here to my style.css and to my HTML. So my HTML currently is not connected to my JavaScript. So I'll come here and I will say script src is equals to script.js, and I will close this. So this now connects my JavaScript to my HTML. So I will now go ahead and I think just here where we have the class joke text. So classes, we use classes mostly for JavaScript, but when you are in in classes are mostly used in CSS, but when you're now coming to JavaScript, it's good you give your elements an ID. So here I can give it the ID of joke. Here I can give it the ID for the category. I can give it the ID of category, and in the button here, I can also give it an ID. So I can give it the ID button. Yeah, can leave it like that. So let us come to our JavaScript. So the first thing we have to do is to try and get this code from here. Or access our HTML from our JavaScript side. So the first thing I'll do is I'll create a variable that stores those values. So I'll say const joke. I can say joke text. So this is where we want our joke to appear. So I'll say documents dot get element by ID and give it joke. And then I will now get the category. So I can say const. So remember I told you can create a variable in two ways, using const or using let in JavaScript. So I'll say joke category is equals to documents dot get element by class name, and I'll give this the class category. Not by class name, by ID. So remember I gave it an ID category, so that's what I'm trying to access, category. The other one is now the button, so I'll say const. I can call generate button, so the one that generates the joke. When you click document dot get element by ID. I also give it an ID of button. So right now we have given it an ID of button because it's the only button, but when you have multiple buttons, it's good you specify. So for example, here the button should have been like generate button as well, just because, or joke button, something like that. So it's good to be descriptive where it is necessary. So the next thing we are going to get is we are going now to get the jokes. So we are going to say const URL. I can write joke URL. I hope you guys know what a URL means. If you know what a URL means, can you drop it in the chat section? What we mean when we say URL, what does that mean? So here in the jokes that we are currently using, so we opted for this one. So I'm just trying to go to where the joke is, or where the jokes are. So if you know what a URL is, can you drop it in the chat section? So for example, here you can click give me any. So here it has said dev joke any. So if I reset it, so this is what did the cannibal do after he dumped his graph? He wiped his ass. What? So there are some jokes which are not really clean jokes. So for that reason, I had to specify the jokes that I want us to get. So to specify the jokes is where I came here, where you can specify the different jokes. Yes, so somebody has said a URL is an identifier used to find something in the internet. Yes. So the links that we add there, those are URLs. So here we can pick, like, this is a URL that makes sure you don't get any joke that are not safe for work, racist or sexist, that does not contain explicit language. So this allows me to blacklist some of the jokes, and I think I will pick that one. So I'll say I want any joke, but at least remove jokes which are sexist, they are racist, or use explicit language. So I can use that. So I can come here and I will copy paste that URL. I need to enclose it inside quotation marks. So I can console log that. So I can console log joke URL. So when we console something, we are able to see the results like in the console. So if I come here and I inspect, so I just want to see what that joke is giving me, that URL. So mine there, if I refresh, so I'll get element by I wrote element. So remember, when something is an ID, it's only one. This should be element, not elements. Let me refresh now. Yeah, so it shows me there is a link here. It hasn't given me the results, and I know why. So to see the results from this joke, or to see jokes now displayed, we'll come ahead and we will say we will create a function. So I told you there are three ways you can create a function. There's something we call a function declaration, there's something we call a function expression, and there's something we call an arrow function. So here I am going to, I can use a function expression or an arrow function. I think we can just say function, just the normal straightforward. So this is a function declaration function, and we can say get jokes. I hope you guys are not checking the answers from the internet. Somebody had said URL means uniform resource locator, also known as web address, is a unique identifier used to locate a resource on the internet. Okay, that's a long answer. Are you sure that is an answer you have not checked on the internet? If you haven't, good for you. If you also have, good for you. But next time, try and say from your own understanding. So now we can now try and, using this function, now let us try and get those jokes. So what we normally do, we can use what we call a fetch. And this fetch, we are going to pass the function, I mean the URL. So I'm going to say fetch joke URL, and you guys focus. So even as you interact in the chat section, remember to focus. And then we say fetch the joke URL. Then what do you want it to do? I want it to display the data. So we can say display the data as JSON. So I'll show you what it means when we say JSON. And then after that, we can say, what do you want it now to do? I can come here and say, then console dot log data. Let us first console dot log data. So let us first console log the function up to that point so that we see how it looks like. So I'm just going to come here, and so we have added a function here. So we can come here and say in the function, in the button generate, we say on click generate, what is it called? Get joke. The function is called get joke. So if I now come to I refresh, and you need to work on what happens when somebody reduces the size. So it's to say data is not defined. So there is an error online. To say on line 10, this should be data. And what about now? Data is still not defined. Okay. Let me go ahead and edit that accordingly. No, the link is okay. It is here. So let me try this again. So I'll say, let me say item. Let me just break down the code completely. And I will say joke text. Dot text content, what I want to be shown inside the text. I want it to be item. But by the way, why hasn't it? Anyway, item dot joke. It should at least have displayed this. So let me try this. Let me remove this before I put that. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Let me remove it first and do here and do console dot log. We should see something on the console. We should test that what we are doing is working. Should not work. Okay. So let me see if now it will pick it up. Data is not defined. Okay, let me check something. I think maybe I've mixed up fetch in JavaScript. Let us go back and look at the syntax and use MDN. Excuse me. Okay, we can use those ones. Let me check W3 scrolls. So it is fetch. It is fetch. Okay. Okay. So we're on the right track. Let me try that again. Joke underscore URL. Okay, so fetch and data into data dot JSON because we want it in JSON. So we can say console.log data. Uh-huh. Oh, to close this, let me see if it will now cooperate. Data is not defined. What am I missing? Okay. Let me remove this part and say jokes is equals to, I think I'll just have to move on because so here they have done x is x is equals to x dotted, then y is equals to documents dot get element. So fetch the file to change this text. Okay. Let me try and just steal this approach of theirs because for some reason my console.log is giving me headache. Let me try and okay, so we say y is equals to get element by id. So this is where they are showing. So ours is joke text, so I don't need this part. Joke text dot inner html is equals to y. Okay, let me refresh. I see. Okay, so we have been able to get an object. Come here and say console.log y and then console.log data. If I refresh now, nothing is changing. Yes, finally it has worked. So I wanted us to see this data. So this is what we call JSON. The data come enclosed in curly brackets and it is separated by different things. So you can see there's a category, programming, type, two part. It also tells us the setup. Why do programmers prefer using dark mode delivery? Because light attracts bugs. So these are some of the things that we will show in our So the other person is, I told my psychiatrist, okay, I don't like this joke, but yeah, from now on, I have to pay in advance. So we have what they are calling a setup. So the setup is the joke, and then delivery is the answer. So I'll come here. So even that means when I come here to my joke, I need to have a place where it will ask the question and the other place where it will ask the answer, or it will show the answer. Let me show this. Oh, time is almost up. Okay, but we have a very small part remaining, so we should be able to finish this project. So we have, I'll call this joke, I'll just give you an idea of joke question, and I call this joke answer. Okay, so I'll leave it. Okay, I can call this joke. Okay, this can remain. Okay, I can call this joke question as well as a class name for our JavaScript, for our CSS, and I'll call this answer. We'll just have to style them a little bit different to see, but we will do the styling later. So this is where the answer. To the joke will be shown. So if I look at it now, it will just change the styling a little bit because we have just added the question and the answer. So let us go ahead now and capture those from the JavaScript side. So we'll say joke question. So joke question will pick the element that has the ID joke question. I believe there is such an element with such an ID joke question, and I'll pick now the other one for joke answer. Joke answer. Okay, so we have that. So I'll come here and I will now set it up such that we can see the jokes. So rather than console logging now, I'll come here and I'll say we have the data already from the joke data. So I'll come here and I will say joke to be let me first Control Z. The reason why I'm doing that is because I want us to repeat that so that we have those values in our console. I think it was, I've kind of forgotten. I need to say it again. Yeah, so we have what they're calling the setup and the delivery, and then we have the category. Okay, so I think also I'll remove this category. Why is it showing me dark? Didn't I remove dark? Oh, I didn't. I think I need to remove also dark. Don't want the dark jokes. So I'll come here where it's now written console Y, and I will say item or joke. Let me say joke to be put into curly brackets, and now we continue to say joke question text content the content that will be shown inside the joke question will be joke dot. So you pick this value here. So we have, it will be setup. And then you now continue, you say joke answer dot text content will be is equals to joke dot. So the answer is stored in the JSON, it's stored somewhere where it's written delivery. And then now for the category, we'll come and say joke category dot text content is equals to joke dot. So the category is stored inside a part known as category. Okay, yes, and that's actually it. So we can add some text here so that it shows the category. So we'll use next to number 1, you'll see it's called a back. What is it called? I've forgotten the name. It has slipped my mind. We'll write category. We want the text to appear. And then we call interpolation, where you add the $sign and exactly what you want to appear in there. So there is a text that you want to accompany whatever you are showing. So it will look like that. And you put your bracket like that. So yeah, so let us see how this now will look like. If I come here and I refresh, if I click generate, line 12. Ooh, the dark, I think the dark has affected. Let's see. This should be capital D. So type error, line 12. Joke question dot we had joke setup. So if it is removing the word, it's refusing the word text content for some reason, we can write inner HTML or inner text. Here even we can also change this. Oops. Inner text. Though I don't understand why it refused inner text content. For some reason, I do not understand why that did not pick it up. So if I come here and I refresh, yeah, it's still refusing. You cannot set null. Line 12. Joke answer. Do I have something here called joke answer? Yes, I do. Is it an ID? Yes. We have joke question. Oh, I have known. I have put underscores here, and here I have put dashes. That is the good problem. Okay, let us refresh that now. So you can see now it has worked. It is asking, how did you make your friend rage? I implemented the Greek question mark in his JavaScript. My wife left me because I am too insecure. Oh wait, never mind. She was just getting mail. So this is, I want to remove this category dark. Let me see if I can, just because the dark jokes, you never really know the direction they will go. So I just don't want them to be there. Okay. When I put that word dark for some reason, it refuses. That's weird. What does the motorbike, which kind of motorbike does Santa the Holy Davidson? Where do ghosts go on diet so that they can keep their. Anyway, so the jokes are showing up. They might not be funny because to you, because jokes are also relative. Not all the jokes can be the same. So I'll come here just to edit the styling of my jokes, how they're showing up. So we had joke text here. I'll change this to, we have now joke answer and joke category. That's just the last thing we're going to do. We have here joke question. I'll reduce the size a little bit to like 20 px, and I will copy all this and I'll change this. I'll paste it and change and add for joke answer. I'll also maybe just reduce this to like 15 px so that it shows the difference, and then we can come here and change this color to white. Yep. So if I refresh now, yeah. So to make the joke to show up anytime we are rendering or we are refreshing our website, we just come here, and here at the bottom we put get joke. So now whenever I refresh, it will also show the joke. So what's the difference between a hot potato and a flying pig? One is heated yam and the other one is heated yam. Okay, I don't understand that one. So maybe I can change also the font of the card of the text. I can remove the answer from having that font family to just be regular, schmegular. Okay, so did you hear about the cheese factory that exploded in France? That was nothing but debris. So yeah, you can change it how you want. However you want, now you guys know how to style. You're free to change it to how you feel it should look like. Yeah. So if there is no question, we have been able to execute this. We have been able to do the CSS, the HTML, and the JavaScript. So we have finished the whole project in 2 hours. That means tomorrow we'll be doing another new project. We'll build something different. I'm thinking we can build the weather app, where we see how we can be able to get weathers from different regions to show up. So we are going to build a weather app tomorrow. So see you tomorrow. Take care of yourself. Have a nice remainder of the day. Bye bye.